Hey everyone, and welcome back to IDEANTHRO Movement. On today's episode, using a baby to screen movement dysfunction, or function for that matter. Now, this isn't something that we build into our practice at our movement facility. This isn't something that you can necessarily even do regularly, but I think it is an interesting tidbit, an interesting little story to tell. So I'm going to tell it. So as of the time of recording this, I have a slightly older than 12-month-old daughter. And I remember shortly after she was born, I realized that there's kind of an interesting little drill for the movement nerds out there that you can do to kind of see if you've got any restrictions in your movement. Because one of the things that happens with movement is we all tighten up and find certain postures and positions that we hold and ways that we move more regularly than others. And some spots that we don't want to go to. We're not typically aware of this. Have you ever heard that thing where, like, maybe you've heard yourself say it, if you've heard someone else say it in the gym, where you come to do a stretch or something, let's say, I'm not really massive fans of too much actual stretching, but someone comes to do a stretch and they're like, oh my goodness, I didn't realize I was so tight. Yeah, that's really common, that we have these kind of hidden blocks where it's like, oh, I didn't know that I was not going there, and apparently that's a thing. Well, I discovered not long after my daughter was born that there's a really interesting way you can use a baby to screen for this. So we used to change her nappy with her lying on her back on the bed, and this was before she could roll over. It's you can do it in interesting ways once they get older, but I'm going to explain the way I first noticed this when she was young. So we're talking about before she could roll over, but when she is, getting to be a little active and alert little thing, because you go to change her nappy on her back, and she'd be there wildly kind of waving her hands around, and she'd stop for a minute, she'd kick her legs or something. And for some reason one day, obviously I'm standing on the floor facing her, she's down in front of me there, and I just started trying to mirror all of the positions that she went into. And because she's a cute little thing at that point, completely unrestricted in her movement. Now, interestingly, babies often, unless they kind of like tumble into a weird position, they won't typically pull any of their, or place any of their limbs in fundamentally unsound positions, right? Now, like if they kind of weirdly, I don't know, if you just kind of plop to them on the bed, they might end up in a strange position, right? But if you put it on its back and then it's moving its arms around, it will go fundamentally only in what is safe human range of motion, which means there's an interesting movement screen, because if you then try and mirror that, you'll find that baby goes to spots that I don't want to go. And for me, it was particularly around the right shoulder. Now, I knew that for various reasons I had some tightness in that right shoulder at the time, but actually following along really highlighted, there's a pattern, like I don't, for example, want to go into internal rotation like that on a particular side or whatever it is. And so it's just an interesting little screen. I'd suggest that you have a little play around with it at some point if you've got access to a baby. It's also fun for them, right? Particularly once they're old enough that their eyesight's developed enough that they can see you doing it. If you kind of make eye contact with them and then follow what their limbs are doing in your peripheral vision, it's actually a heck of a lot of fun for them as well. So it's a good little game that you can play. See what you find about your movement positions. And that's it for this episode. Just an interesting little observation. If you liked that, by all means, give us a like or a subscribe. If you like, in general, what it is that we are talking about and doing here at IDEANTHRO Movement and want to find out more, you can go to ideanthro.com/movement. If you are in Brisbane, Australia, and would like to come down to our facility at Oxley, you can always do a drop-in class, but if you're interested in joining up, then you can arrange a free trial. ideanthro.com/free-trial. See what it is that we're all about. And if you just want to get in touch, maybe request that we talk about something on a particular episode, whatever reason, ideanthro.com/connect. Okie dokie. Thank you for tuning in. We'll see you next time.